Ooh, PowerPoint, PowerPoint, PowerPoint. Don't fail me now. There you go. And morphing, a crash course. Morphing's awesome. It's a lot of fun. And the cool thing is, it's just a simple transition that you set up like any other crossfade or dissolve or flipping pages in the wind, whatever weird thing you want to do on it, and just add it to all your slides. Here's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did I count that right? Slides that make up the content of this deck that would have been really boring and intense to look at. And it makes this morph makes a transition that makes this presentation simple and interesting and more effective. And it does it because morph animates format changes, simple format changes from one slide to the next. So whatever you change, if the format changes, and the size, the shape, the position, the rotation, the color, morph, and it's magic, and it happens, and you're done. Morph will fade the objects in or out as needed. So if all of a sudden the object's no longer on the slide, then it fades it out. Or if PowerPoint doesn't know what to do to transition them from one to another, like there, the heart became an arrow and it didn't know what it wanted to do, so it just faded them in and out. Sometimes PowerPoint's stupid, but where there's a will, there's a way. Morph lets you change shapes, color, size, rotation, position, all those things that I talked about before. And it even lets you change the shape. Here I've got an ellipse that then I changed by editing the points to have a wave in it. And that just looks gorgeous. Sometimes you try to do that, it doesn't look gorgeous, but just toy with it a little, you can make it work. But not all shapes morph nice. Look, it's a cylinder representing your data stack. And now I've changed the angle on it, and it didn't even know how to change the angle on the shape. Stupid. Shame on you, PowerPoint. Oh, and then it didn't know how to go to a crescent. And then it didn't know how to turn that crescent into a sun, and it doesn't even know how to make a sun into a circle. Come on. But the thing is, the ones you care about, they all work nice. Look at that. That was nice. You can morph text, and doing stuff with text with morph is awesome because it gives you permanence so that when you advance the slide, you still have the same content there, but then you can add something in to make it easier to read. You can even duplicate things over and help emphasize the similarities and differences between things by changing the text between each one. And most of all, because you're animating across slides and you've built in permanence and you've been able to then make the points jump from one to another, you don't have to use bullets, which then makes it so much less PowerPoint and so much more a presentation. You can morph backgrounds and draw emphasis to the change in content. You can even morph 3D. Like, hello there. Yeah. Oh, you want to come closer? No. Come on. You can come closer. Yeah. Oh, look, you're so cute, aren't you? Oh, you little origami piggy, aren't you? But I need you to go away. No, no, really. It's time for you to go. Bye bye. The key concept when you're building morphs is that morph uses tween animations. Old school technique. They did it in hand drawn animations where they would draw the keyframes and then go back in with light tables and onion skin them and add in the additional frames to make the animation smooth. Well, with PowerPoint, oh boy, I'm already on slide 70. Can you believe we've already been talking through 70 slides? That's because all of the slides needed to make the tweening happen get added in. So you end up having a lot more slides because your slides are the keyframes in the animation. It takes a lot of slides. I think this total presentation is going to be 140. So we're over halfway through. So how do you do it? In simple steps? Well, imagine a slide. Oh, good. Now, place some stuff on it. Then you duplicate the slide, set the transition on that new slide to morph. It's in the ribbon under transitions. If you've got text on there, you're going to want to change the effect options to words. And I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail. And then you take that new slide that's set to morph and you change the stuff on it. And then you repeat as many times as you need to get everything to be the way you want it across the presentation, emphasizing all your wonderful circles and their components in your Venn diagram. And then you just run the show. And look, I even made it a list, so you can screen capture this right now and have this, printed out and sitting next to your desk, because I know you like lists, and this is just for you. Advanced morph topics, like the effect options, how you control how text is morphed. There's 3 options. The first one is objects. That's the default. This next slide is switched to the object mode. Oh, look, it faded in and out all of the text because it treats the text as one object. So when you add text to it, change any of the characters, the formatting, change something in there, add a space, it'll fade out the whole block of text. This is lame. So when in doubt, set it to words, because words does what you think it should. It's the best choice for most applications, because you see how it works. It's just moving the copy, making room for the next bit of text that comes in there, and makes it easy to follow. And completely, as you're building it, behaves the way you expect. And how many times can you say that about PowerPoint? It's rare. And then there's characters. Characters is crazy. That was fun, wasn't it? All the characters jumped around and rearranged themselves into the right order. So you can have a lot of fun with it, but it's unpredictable, visually hard to follow, so use it sparingly. I think this is the only time I've used it in this presentation. So sometimes when you morph, PowerPoint can't track your objects. Like, you want a shape morph. Like here, we've got a circle, and we want it to turn into a triangle. Nice, great. But instead, the default behavior, it does a fade in, fade out. It can't figure out what you're doing. Sometimes when you morph, PowerPoint's going to guess wrong. So, for instance, we've got a whole bunch of little boxes here that we put up in the corner. Woo! Look at those boxes. They're bars that are all stacked next to each other, and we want them to shrink and grow. Oh, that's nice. That makes sense. You can, build excitement, but instead you build out this thing. You have to hand draw this chart because charts can't be morphed, which sucks. PowerPoint, get on that. And you build it, and then you go and change it, and it does that. Because it sees that they're the same size and says, well, obviously you want the same size things to be the same size things. And so I'm going to move the positions and then grow the ones that I've moved that don't fit the new size. But after many complaints, Microsoft finally added a fix. You have to use the selection pane. If you don't know about the selection pane, you should know about the selection pane. It is essentially a layers palette for PowerPoint. It's in the Shape Format ribbon tab. You click on it and it looks like this. And the big fix here is you can rename things in there. And if you give the objects that you want to control a name that begins, a unique name that begins with 2 exclamation points, PowerPoint will say, hey, 2 exclamation points named number 1. That's the same object. I need to tween the instances of that same object between the 2 slides. It doesn't get confused anymore. Yes, it needs to start with 2 exclamation points. It doesn't matter if it's unique. Without the exclamation points, it hasn't been flagged for PowerPoint to treat it differently. I don't know why. I'm guessing that it's because they're worried that you're going to accidentally name something a unique name on purpose. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's PowerPoint. Morph. A recap. What have you learned? Well, morph is a transition. If you want to do all this fun transitioning stuff, you find it in the transition tab of the ribbon. It animates changes between slides. So just make it look like how you want it to look before, and then on the next slide, make it look like how you want it to look afterwards, and it will happen. You probably want the effect option set to words. And if PowerPoint is struggling to figure out which objects need to morph, name them in the selection pane with exclamation points in front of it. It's awkward, but it works. Now go morph. Make me happy. And if you need help, find me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. I work on PowerPoint for pay. It's fun. Thanks. Enjoy your morphine. That sounds like I'm talking about drugs. Oh.